Educating, informing, serving. Fact TV, keeping government honest.
Okay, good evening and welcome to the special joint board meeting. It is 5:30 and the Rockingham Select Board and the Bellows Falls Village Trustees are down here in the lower theater on September 15th. It's Tuesday. I would like to call the meeting to order. And are there any additions to the agenda for routine administrative matters and or pressing matters that will be ratified at a future meeting? I don't hear anything. Moving on, is there any public comment? I don't see any public. Therefore, the only, excuse me, Susan?
Yeah, I know, I'm just here, sorry.
All right, no problem. That moves us to the only item on the agenda, which is an executive session continuing our municipal manager search. We'll need motions on both boards in order to go into executive session, so. Yeah, Jakes is gonna, I guess Jakes is gonna start, so please do.
I move that the board enter executive session to discuss the appointment or employment, or evaluation of a public officer or employee, but the public body must make a final decision to hire or appoint in an open meeting, and it must explain the reasons for its final decision under 1 VSA 313A3.
Need a second? Okay. Hearing nothing else, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, and now for the
Madam Chairman, I move that the board enter executive session to discuss the appointment or employment or evaluation of a public officer or employee, but the public body must make a final decision to hire or appoint in an open meeting and it must explain the reasons for its final decision in 1 CSA 3.3.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 We're now in executive session. Thank you.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Rockingham Select Board regular meeting. It's Tuesday, September 15th, 2020, 6:01 p.m. We're meeting in the lower theater tonight, and there's a link on the Zoom, for Zoom on the website. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Are there any additions to the agenda for routine administrative matters and or pressing matters that shall require ratification at a future meeting? No additions. Here comes Susan. Need to approve the minutes. The regular meeting, September 1st.
Motion. Minutes of the meeting of September 1st.
Excuse me, sorry. I had my hand raised on the previous item,
Oh, I'm sorry.
and it's actually for the minutes. I had some corrections to the minutes for the motions that were for the grants on September 1st.
Okay.
So the item says, item number 7, 2 need approval tonight, and the rest will come back on September 15th. It's actually the 2 grants needed public notices on the 1st, and those same 2 grants have a resolution coming back tonight. And so then down below that, there's the 2 motions that were for the public notices for the grants. And there was a 3rd motion made that was to authorize the application or intent to apply for grant funds described in the memo and authorize the interim municipal manager as designee to file or execute required documents for such applications. And that was the 3rd motion. It was off a memo that you folks had in front of you that you made the motions from. So I would request that the minutes were approved as amended to those motions as they were made for item number 7.
I'll accept the amendment. Peter, your mic's up.
Did you get all that? Somebody? Okay, so we've made a motion, amended the motion to approve the minutes as amended with the corrections from Gary. It's been seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Minutes are approved. Any public comments on items that are not on the agenda? I see one person. I don't think so. Going once, twice. Okay, moving on to the agenda. Item number 1, Rockingham listers, errors and omissions. Make sure your microphone is on. Thank you.
So we have presented our errors, omissions, and additions to the grand list 2021. And I guess there's an explanation on each change that the listers had. And I guess I'd welcome any questions if you have any. If not, then if you could make a motion to accept these errors, omissions, and additions to the grand list.
I'll make the motion that we approve the additions to the grand list as discussed here by Mr. Obuchowski.
Need a second?
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve errors and omissions recognized here tonight. Any questions, discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for what you do.
Item number 2, Rockingham Finance Department. We have an attachment. Shannon, would you like to speak?
Yeah, so I have submitted year-to-date financials that were through September 9th, as well as FY20 closeout. So I just wanted to know, through September 9th, we have the general fund has saved approximately $25,000 in salaries and about $12,500 in benefits from the reduction in staff. Also Chuck covering for the manager. And the highway has saved about the same, $25,000 in salaries and another $12,500 in benefits.
Okay. If I'm, for the question here.
What was the total of that? 60 something?
It's 30, yeah, about 70,000 between the two.
Stefan, you had a question?
Yeah, in reference to the general fund dated 9/8/20
Yep.
on page 1 of 17, I'm sure it's an error. Maybe it was fat-fingered or whatever, but it says current taxes received, budgeted was $2,286,912. It says the actual receipt was $11,984,000.
Yeah, so in my memo, I addressed it. We have a tax entry that allocates the taxes to the school, village, water, wastewater, and I just haven't made that allocation yet, or I hadn't when I submitted these, but that will be done. But
Okay.
that would have been a huge error.
Okay, that's all right. Just curious. I
Yeah.
didn't think we had. No, not a problem.
No,
We're
we
good.
don't.
Great, thank you.
Anything else, Stefan?
No, we're good.
Okay. Peter?
Just follow up. You're going to get us new figures when you get that done? Your adjustments?
Well, I'm going to give you new financials
Yeah,
in 2
that's what I
weeks.
said,
In
yeah,
2
that's why
weeks.
it's going, yeah.
Yeah.
I think you told me that once before, but I just wanted to
Yep.
confirm.
So to wrap up last year, we came in for the general fund. We came in at about 96% of plan. However, we would have come in over it if it weren't for COVID in the theater. So the reduction in revenue with the theater was offset by the reduction in expenses. Expenses came in at about 89%, so we came in 230,000 to the good, which we contributed to the town general fund. Cemetery came in slightly under in expenses. So highway is a little convoluted. Revenue was 20,000 over budget. It looks as though when you look at the financials that we came in over budget, but if you remember the Cherry Hill project, we raised taxes for in the prior fiscal year, and we also had the paving budget in the prior fiscal year. So if we use the funds from the highway general fund to cover those two projects, we actually came in 15,000 to the good for highway as well.
Any questions, Susan or Ben?
Yeah, I have a question about highway, a couple things. All of the Wyndham Regional grant that we got for, I think it was a Better Roads maybe, all of that got, billed to them and reimbursed?
Let me just look at the highway budget.
Because there was that income for 20-something, and I was wondering, 26,000, is that where that comes in?
I have a fairly easy question if I could ask while she's looking for that, Susan.
Uh-huh.
So did you, or maybe Chuck could answer while she's looking. So I think she said the cemetery came in under budget, cemetery fund. So I guess I would ask why, but then I remember some taxpayers bringing up some of the gravestones weren't weed whacked or something in the beginning of the year. They were trying something new. Is that part of why it's under, or are we going to make sure that these folks get the proper care that they're used to in the cemeteries?
Yes, so we started in under budget and made a course correction that you'll start seeing take place at the end, probably October, November. We had these windrows between the tombstones, if you recall. That just wasn't tenable, so we went back to the old program.
Okay, thank you.
So you're correct, Sue. That is the Better Roads grant, and we did receive the funds. So,
Okay, great. I was
so
just following. I'm sorry, I should have sent you an email about this.
no.
And the other thing was, if I recall, for the wastewater project, the town did some trucking. Did we bill for that?
So we just, I just got to the grant and aids and the billing of SUR. So they're being they're going to be submitted Thursday before end of business. For
Okay, great. So that'll come in this fiscal year.
it will hit
Okay.
this fiscal year.
All right,
Yeah.
no, that's fine. I just wanted to, it's just something that I remembered and I wanted to follow up on.
Yep. But the grants and aid too. So we'll submit that by Thursday end of business.
Okay, got it. There was something else, but I have to, well, we spoke before about the phone and internet. God, that was,
Yes.
see.
So our phone contract is coming up, and Chuck and I have already discussed and are working with other carriers. So we have a plan in place, and I'm happy to actually email the whole select board the details so that you guys can see it.
Okay.
But going with something that will be far less costly.
Oh, yeah, and the other thing again was on highway, wasn't there gonna be an insurance claim for one of the trucks?
So.
Is that coming in this fiscal year?
So what had happened was the towing and recovery expense, if you look at page three of 4, it used to be almost $30,000. So now you see there's just 100. So we were reimbursed for all of the towing and recovery from the 2 accidents. And then also the, to fix the trucks, it was allocated to each truck, and then we were reimbursed. So we did receive both of those insurance checks.
Okay, but where does that come in? I didn't see on the, like in the insurance.
Oh, well, I put it against the expense that we allocated.
Okay, all right, got it. I
Also,
think that's it for now.
Okay.
Although there might be
Okay, any questions, Ben?
No, not right now.
Peter?
Couple things in case anybody went through 2019 finals. Recycle lost $43,584. Recreation Department lost $111,373. And the cinema lost $27,467.71. Just a point of information, in case anybody's interested. I'd like to bring up a subject that Chuck and I have been discussing here via email about the $18,000 restock charge on a warrant a little while ago about flooring. I asked the question because there was an $18,000 charge. I had no idea what it was about, and I got a sort of a scathing email here. So I'm just trying to, what were the tiles, what was it all about? I'm not getting any explanation that explains what the tiles were for. Your last one mentioned they've been there in the 1980s, so Andy wasn't even here in the 1980s, neither was Don, so trying to figure out, I just would like some information on this because I don't think it's ever been brought to the board. And I know you mentioned it's part of the cleanup process, which is fine, but I'm just trying to find out what went on with them. What were the tiles for? Where they? Do we know?
Okay, so you're talking about the 1,800, not the 18,000 restock?
$18,000 in there, unless it was a mistake. If it was a mistake, it needs to be corrected.
No, it's 1,800.
Well, I'll have to go back and look at my stuff.
So
But anyway.
I attempted. So we attempted to explain it to the best of our ability. We would also like to meet with you and Andy and Dawn to discuss it. There was flooring tiles that were in the highway department. They sat there for multiple decades, ceramic tiles. They weren't usable. We know as part of the cleanup directive, we use some of those tiles in certain places, but I think you still have me at a disadvantage, and you're going to have me at a disadvantage now, and you had me at a disadvantage in email. I'd like to show you these things, and then we can bring them to the board in a more formal presentation. You brought this up in the afternoon. I tried my best to address it to your satisfaction, and it appears I've failed to do that. So we can have a more formal review of what those tiles were used for. For everybody's benefit, we learned there was another company that's willing to basically do a loss leader and write off the costs of redoing the flooring in the 103 garage. And they want to be able to claim credit for having done a project in southern Vermont. This is part of their geographic expansion. This is something that serendipitously Don Hashem found out after when the project was going on. Don approached me about the flooring and said, look, we're going to be way in the black. We're going to benefit dramatically if we go with this group, but we have a restocking fee. How are we going to handle the restocking fee? You know, board members are going to get upset if they see something like that. Don was, I thought, overly cautious. I said, well, if we can do the flooring with this new company and save money in the aggregate, let's do that and not worry about the restocking fee. Don was still worried about the restocking fee, so he refused to charge for any of his services. He's been doing all this work pro bono to clean up. So I think in total, we're probably going to save about $3 to $5 grand to include the restocking fee at $1,800, not at $18,000. So will be a net benefit. I can take photos, I can do memos, whatever you would like to be able to explain that. Consider it done. But yes, we started this conversation this afternoon, and I guess I just haven't really nailed it to your satisfaction.
No, you have, but my question, the follow-up with all that conversation was, what were the floor tiles for?
So if you recall, so a lot of this started when I was cleaning up the bathroom down there on my own time, and tiles had been falling apart, that the place was just in complete decay. The fire department had issued complaints to me that the facility just looked completely neglected. Apparently, it was the idea that they wanted to tile the floor in the 80s, just never got around to it. So we wanted to actually get this done. We do have photos of what the place looked like beforehand, and we have photos afterwards. I think we can include that in a memo if you'd like. You'll see a vast improvement. But as part of the cleanup directive, rather than hold on to old ceramic tiles for decades, let's either use them or get them out And if we can't use them because of the wrong ones, then let's find the right ones and move forward with it. So that was the plan all along.
Okay, well, I wasn't aware of that, so I asked the question.
Yeah, and I apologize if I didn't answer it to your satisfaction.
No, that's why I'm asking, I didn't
Okay.
know, and no idea what the thing for.
So the question was this afternoon, and it sounds like he's going to do everything in his effort to make sure that we all have a clear answer with photos and documents, and so we'll all be satisfied with the
It's a
answer.
priority. So we'll make sure you have
Great.
the right answers.
Thank you very much.
And there's a sentence in this email of yours that's about a point that there is some idiot that pulls the cost out of context and then runs their mouth. What's that in reference to?
That's when somebody will take a restock fee. They were really concerned that somebody would pull it right out of context and start running their mouth about a restock fee. And they were concerned about the public perception of, somebody just running off with this. Why are we paying an $1,800 restock fee? Apparently we don't know what we're doing. We made mistakes. And that was a major concern that they had. And I knew you would understand that because you get the context. But you know what we face when we have people that take a fact out of context and start running with it. So I was trying to tell you that that's a concern I had, because some people just hear restock fee and they don't want to listen to the answer. And that was my concern. Is that address you get it. What I'm talking about is somebody that just sees a line item, pulls it out of context, and just runs the town with it.
The only reason I asked about it was because it just stuck out and was looking for an answer. I guess maybe we're not supposed to answer questions then. If that's what you're inferring, that's fine, then we don't care. We'll just let things lie where they lie and...
You're
go from
looking
there.
for conflict where there is none.
I'm not looking for conflict.
So I will tell you that I'm eager to answer this question to your satisfaction. You do agree with me because you've talked to me about this, how somebody can pull an item right out of context and run with it. So that's what we have to be concerned with, and I know you get that bigger picture.
Anything else on finances? Susan, did you find your other question? You all set?
No, I didn't, so it couldn't have been that.
We can come back, and if you have a question, Shannon will always answer our questions.
Yeah, and I can always shoot an email off. but-
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
or Sue, if you have anything else to contribute to last year's, if you want to give me a call before I get to audit.
All right, yep. And when will that be? You must be in the middle of, getting to the middle of that soon, right?
Yeah, the next couple of weeks. So,
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yep, thank you. Okay, we're good on that? Thank you very much. Next item, number 3, Rockingham Development Office. Municipal resolutions authorizing applications for VCDP implementation public service grants. Gary Fox. Make sure your button.
Yes, so these are the community development public service block grants that you authorized a public hearing for this coming Saturday. Each one is $25,000. One is a sub-grant for BIFTA to light up BF, to decorate the downtown and have attractions with heating outdoors so that an appropriate number of people can be at in a store at a time through the holiday season. And the other one is for the town for similar accommodations at the Waypoint and construction changes to the Waypoint and the town hall to make them more COVID mitigation compliant. And so the resolutions that are in your packet are actually they're a little bit long, but they're the specific language that the community development program needs for each grant, and then to be signed by you folks.
Any questions?
And there is no match in these grants. The public service ones are 100% funded.
Right.
So you don't need a motion here.
Yes, yeah, and it needs to be the that long resolution that was in the packet. twice, one for each grant. Would you like me to read them?
What page
and
would that
someone
be
can
on,
move?
Gary? What whereabouts in your bit of information?
So they're the sheets that say resolution for VCDP grant application authority, single applicant.
Yeah, so we just need to make a motion to approve the resolution with that and read the language, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I move, sorry, I'm my blue screen for a second. I move that we approve the resolution for VCDP grant application authority, single applicant, whereas the town of Rockingham hereafter applicant is applying for a grant under the Vermont Community Development Program, and whereas it's necessary that an application be made and agreements be entered into with the state of Vermont, now therefore be it resolved as follows. One, that applicant possesses the legal authority as defined by State Act 10 VSA 6838 to apply for the grant and administer the program, and the applicant apply for a grant under the terms and conditions of said program, and agree hereby to enter into certifications and assurances thereof. And three, the applicant has a duly adopted and current municipal plan as of August 26, 2016, and that the project is consistent with said plan. And four, the applicant has received documentation from the Regional Planning Commission that the project is consistent with the regional plan. And five, that Gary J. Fox is hereby authorized to be the contact person and as such to provide on behalf of applicant all documents and information necessary for the completion of said application and to provide such coordination as may be necessary for said application. And six, that Charles Wise and titled the interim town manager, who is either the chief executive officer, CEO, as defined by 10 VSA 6838, or as the town manager, the city manager, or the town administrator, is hereby designated to serve as the authorizing official for the grant management online system, IntelliGrants. And seven, that it is understood that if the application is funded, receipt of VCDP funds as federal funds passed through the state of Vermont may require that an audit of the applicant be conducted under the provision of the Single Audit Act as amended, and that these CDP funds may be used to fund only a limited portion of the audited costs.
Second.
I think he read August 26th, but I'm not positive. Did anyone else hear that?
Yes, it should be August 30th.
But it's written August 30th, so I think we're good with the piece of paper.
Okay.
But I thought I heard that. All right, motion has been made and seconded to approve the resolution for VCDP grant application authority. Any discussion? All those in favor would signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes.
Now we have to do this all over again?
Or say, same resolution for the other grant, I guess you could.
Save you a lot.
Everything's exactly the same for the other
All
grant.
right,
So-
so I move that we approve the resolution for EDC grant application authority, and this is for the, what, for the
for-
COVID updates or whatever,
Yes, to town-owned buildings.
town-owned buildings.
Yep.
With the same conditions as the previous resolution.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the second resolution for VCDP grant application authority, this one pertaining to town-owned COVID compliance, as previously read. All those in favor would signify by saying aye.
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 Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Okay, thanks a lot. We have the papers here. We'll sign them. Susan, if we'll have 4 signatures here. Moving on to number 4. It's a finance and maintenance agreement, the Walpole Rockingham Bridge Preservation Project.
assuming this mic is picking up, are we?
Yes.
You'll probably notice in the materials there's too much detail, but nevertheless, this is an agreement that I would like the select board to review, because there is long-term implications for the town, and to sign off on.
Anyone have any questions?
No, I didn't.
So who signs, Chuck? Manager or the chair? Need a motion to approve this agreement?
Mr. Chairman,
Hold on a second, sir. We'll have discussion. Do you have a question about this?
yes, what are the long-term ramifications? We, won't hold you keep doing the agreement with the Miles Bridge, and we had it closed in one day, that was the state of New Hampshire. So what are the long-term ramifications for the village and town?
I'm not sure we have the answer to that. Is this information on the website?
These two projects are not connected.
Not connected.
So, yeah, and this is actually a sweetheart deal because a lot of the advocacy that Walpole had for NHDOT that, for instance, we're not paying for the street lights, et cetera, VTrans went ahead and just honored all those concessions that the New Hampshire Department of Transportation gave the town of Walpole.
You're welcome.
Okay, I'll make the motion to accept the finance and maintenance agreement with the Walpole Rockingham Bridge Reservation Project for the Church Street Bridge, and to be signed by the Select Board Chair.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the finance agreement, maintenance agreement, Walpole Rockingham Bridge Preservation Project, and have the Rockingham Select Board Chair sign. All those in favor would signify by saying aye.
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 Is that information on the website?
Some of
There's a long,
He's doing a lot of bridge projects now. So Depot Street concept bridge plans have been finalized, and they're online, the front page of the website. This maintenance agreement is not on the website.
all right. It's just a lot of information if anyone were interested. Next item, number 5. Town Health Officer recommendation.
The prestigious position of town health officer must be recommended by the select board every 3 years. My 3-year term is up, so therefore you have to make the recommendation. Ultimately, it's the Department of Health, the Vermont Department of Health, that makes the final appointment.
And does the health officer appoint the deputy, or does the select board?
The select board, I believe it was a year and a half ago, made the appointment of deputy health officer, which is currently Sean McGinnis.
And he's good for a year and a half?
Yeah, we'll be notified when his time is 10 years up.
But the answer was the select board appoints the deputy?
Always.
Okay. We need a motion to approve, to appoint a town health officer.
I'll make the motion that we approve the appointment of Town Health Officer Charles H. Wise, Jr.
I'll second.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve Charles H. Wise, Jr. as the town health officer. Any questions, discussion?
Yeah, Chuck, where do we stand with one center? I noticed you did send an email out, something about a health order in October for an October meeting.
Thank you for asking the question. So, 1 Center Street, we had a health order. We dealt with that, you personally saw the 100-plus bags of trash, right? So then we proceeded to what we thought was a nuisance, and that would involve the court system attorneys and all that stuff, and that was in the queue. We have since gotten evidence. In my world, to hear rats is actually good news, perversely, because it means that I can go back to my health order authority, which is a lot stronger than the nuisance ordinance. And with the last, I think it was yesterday or the day before, on the daily updates, I said, heads up. We are collecting affidavits from all the abutters right now. They are reporting the same story, which is the deterioration of that property has reached a point that it's now a habitat for pestilence. And so with those affidavits, as you might guess, trying to find photos of rats is not as easy. We are going to prosecute a health order against that property.
The same with, what are you doing the 14 with the West Street one? That one, I know that Doug, you wanted to talk to you about that one in the last meeting, Doug McPhee. So
14 West complies, then doesn't comply, then complies. It's a different story. It's still on our radar, and that's taken a different trajectory. I have yet to find definitive sign, although that's never the neighbor you want to have. It's still a neighbor that complies with most of the health and nuisance ordinances, and then slips and then finds themselves out of compliance. I visit, they're back in compliance. That's kind of the back and forth.
As a follow-up to our discussion earlier about the Saxon River Market and the well situation, she is proceeding with writing a letter to the Environmental Commission, just so you're aware of it in case you...
Yeah, and as we discussed, they are the ones with the best authority in the situation. For those of you that, when we encounter a property in distress, we look in our toolbox and say, what's the best tool for that? To have a set of vehicles potentially leaking solvents and other items that you don't want in your well water right next to a well. The state of Vermont right now has the best authority to deal with that.
Great, thank you. We have a motion on the table to appoint Charles H. Wise Jr. as the Town Health Officer. All those in favor would signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Thank you.
Aye.
Sorry.
I was on mute, sorry.
That's okay.
Barking dog.
We love dogs. So we need to review agenda items for our next select board meeting, which be the first Tuesday in October. I don't have a calendar here, and we'll be going to 2 meetings. Anything at this time?
Other than the aforementioned health orders, that's all I know at this time.
Year-to-date financials.
And that's it for now, unless anyone thinks of something. We have some time. So agenda for next combined board meetings, we don't quite know when that'll be, but could be, we know what that may be about. We need to review. Does anyone have anything else for the next?
Are you guys holding a joint board meeting on the 28th of September?
I don't know. I
This-
know I have some items written down that were going to be for that meeting. Our next meeting, I don't have that list in front of me. I'm not sure right now.
Okay.
And then, what about the meeting house meeting? What did we decide to do this year?
No, they closed that because they're doing the plaster.
Okay, we need to review and approve orders, bills, and warrants.
Motion to approve orders, bills, and warrants
Second.
as presented. Yep.
Motion been made and seconded to review and approve orders, bills, and warrants. Sure, if you're here tonight, you could sign them all before you leave, please. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Other business, Susan,
I'm all set for now, thank you.
Stefan,
We're all set.
Peter,
All set?
Ben,
I know we asked last meeting, but I forgot. What were they doing with Barker Street? Had they made from the fire? The owners? I know we asked, but I forget what you had said. And I had someone
Right
ask-
now, we're pleased that there's a private solution. The owner is working with Ruggerio's, and I think it's just down to scheduling and just getting it in the queue.
Okay, that's what I thought.
I've yet to hear any information to the contrary.
Thank you.
I have a couple. You want to go first?
Sure.
You have something for that. Go ahead.
So again, just so you guys are aware, and a lot of you have taken advantage, we have face masks, cloth face masks at Town Hall and at the Police and Firehouse. Come get some. They're in 5-packs. Come into finance if you need more than that. We have plenty to give out.
I had a question on the Saxon River Alley walkway / porch thing. Did that get done? I haven't.
No, that has not. That's it's an executed order. They are aware that as soon as they're ready to get out there, they will call myself, you, and Peter Golick to just make sure that the scope of work matches.
Okay. And another question for you, perhaps. To my recollection, last time Vermont Trans was here and gave us the Bridge 38 plan. There seemed a lot of concern from members of the board and the public about some options, and it seemed like she said to us she would go back and ask the higher ups. Could you follow up on that and see if she plans to do that? If they could do that? Some great comments were made about contacting the rail company. It sounded like she said she was going to do that. I'd like to know if she could.
We can even suggest an update on the next selectmen's meeting, so I'll reach out to her. That's a good idea.
Okay, thank you. That's it for me. Executive session, no need for that tonight, correct? Correct. Thank you very much. Sign all the paperwork here. We need an executive session? Peter?
I don't know, it
You're
says
looking
legal
at that
contracts here. What's
Yeah, is this Chuck? Is this on here for something?
That might have been a holdover from another agenda.
Last meeting we had, we just update on the negotiation.
I know we did that, but I just,
Yeah, I don't know. It's on there, but we don't need one
We've been
tonight.
pushing out agendas left and right
Yep.
lately, so mistakes will happen.
Entertain a motion to adjourn.
so moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good night, thank
Aye.
you.